ونتوكل عليه ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلله فلا هادي له ونشهد أنه لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له ونشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله صفيه من خلقه وحبيبه صلى الله عليه وعلى أهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين وعلى صحابته الكرام ومن تبعهم إلى الإحسان إلى يوم الدين. أوصيكم وأوصي نفسي بتقوى الله في السر والعلن يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله حق تقاته ولا تموتن إلا وأنتم مسلمون. رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي. أما بعد. My dear respected brothers, sisters, elders, I give you the greetings and glad tidings of Islam. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. As you can see, I am not Imam Safwan. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give him shifa. He is very, very ill lately today. So he called me this morning, inshallah, just to be a very low-level backup, inshallah. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give him shifa and bring him back to us safe and sound. And it's also very humbling to be giving a khutbah in front of my Shaykh Ismail. So if you see me getting intimidated, inshallah, just make dua for him and me, inshallah. My dear brothers and sisters, I wanted to give a little bit about current events, especially Islamically current events. What is coming upon us on around, I would say June 20th, is the start of the month of Dhul Hijjah and the start of these days of Hajj for all of our blessed brothers and sisters who are performing, and also Allah has blessed them to perform Hajj. So the real essence of what Dhul Hijjah has been placed specifically in the end of the year. And why is this so important? Specifically, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He mentioned Surah Al-Tawbah, because the Arabs had a very big problem with changing up the months according to however they felt, whenever they wanted to do more and whatever they wanted to do. But then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said it straight. He said, no, this is, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the ayah in Surah Al-Tawbah, إِنَّ عِدَّةَ الشُّهُورِ عِنْدَ اللَّهِ 12 شَهْرًا فِي كِتَابِ اللَّهِ يوم خلق السماوات والأرض منها أربعة حرم ذلك الدين القيم فلا تظلموا فيهن أنفسكم. So this is very, very important to know. Why does Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala specifically mention that there's 12 months? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wanted to set that straight. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala also revealed to the Prophet the order of those months. Sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. And it's very important for us to also ponder upon that for very specific reasons. Because now, Dhul Hijjah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala also swears by these first 10 days. And the real importance is now here in the first 10 days. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has placed so much barakah within these days. Why is that? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, wal-Fajr, wa-layalin ashr. Now, we might say, okay, but the translation says, and by the 10 nights. Now, walayalin, this layalin is not specific to al-layl, it's not specific to the nights, it's not specifying. And it's very interchangeable in the Arabic language. The day and the night, it's quite interchangeable, it's used very often. Now there's mufassirin that have said that majority, they say that these nights that you are referring to, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala refers to, it refers to those 10 days of Dhul Hijjah. Because they're so important. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala never puts a qasam, an oath, upon something except that they are very, 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 very important. And we should take heed to those things. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He strategically places all of these months, starting with Muharram. The new year starts with Muharram. And it's very important for us to memorize these months. I also had a revision session to memorize these months again, so I'm not, as well. So that's why it's very important to us to know these months. First Muharram, then Safar, then the two Rabi' al-Awwal, Rabi' al-Thani, then the two Jummah al-Awwal, Jummah al-Thani. Then we have Rajab, then Sha'ban, then Ramadan, then Shawwal, then Dhul Qa'dah, which is what we are in, and then Dhul Hijjah. So now it's very important that we look at what's the spiritual benefit we can get throughout the year, and how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He places these months strategically. Muharram, you start out, then you have, it's a holy month. There's 4 holy months. Among that ayah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions, among those months, there are 4 holy months. And what are they? They are Muharram, then Dhul Qa'dah, and Dhul Hijjah, and Rajab. So now Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions all of these months as holy months. Now the strategic placement of these months is the good deeds are counted more. But then also the sins are written on your deed heavier. So if you commit a sin in these months, it's written as heavier. And also Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, do not do dhulm upon yourselves within these months. Do not do sins. And we're all human. We do sins. But the necessity for us to be conscious of that is so that we can say, okay, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions specifically, try your best to not do sins within these months, because they're going to be counted for more. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He brings us to all of these months, and then He lets us prepare for the next spiritual high that we're going to get within Rajab, and then Sha'ban. Then we have certain ahadith that say, Nisf Sha'ban, that we have that little spiritual high. And then we get Ramadan, the most virtuous month of the entire year, without any doubt. Is it a holy month? No. But it is one of the most virtuous months. Because as you know, Ramadan has fasting every single day for 30 days. And qiyam within the night. And being with your family, and all of these things that list up. And then you see Ramadan has a high level of virtue. And then you get these Ramadan blues. I know I got it after. Especially after being with our beloved Sheikh for 30 nights. Then you see Ramadan has given you the spiritual high, and then what do you do after? You're like, okay, how can I keep my iman super high? Then you think, you're like, okay, what was I doing in Ramadan? What was I doing in Ramadan? And then you keep pushing yourself. You keep pushing and pushing. And then you say, okay, that level of virtue, I see it coming again in Dhul Hijjah. And then also Shawwal, the 6 fasts. So this is a constant throughout the year. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala consistently gives you these opportunities. So many opportunities to come back to Allah. Come back to Allah. Come back to Allah. Because that is the purpose. Is it not? That is the true purpose. Because all of these little extra brownie points that are going to push you so level high in the eyes of Allah, they are so necessary for you within the year. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knew that. That's why He spaced them out throughout the entire year. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that these months, minha arba'atun hurum, these 4 months, they are sacred months. And now, among them, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala also says, Dhul Hijjah. In the first 10 days. Why are these so important? Because these, from the time of Fajr until the time of Maghrib, every single good deed that you do, it counts the same, if not even more, than the last 10 nights of Ramadan. And you get that opportunity again. You're like, oh my gosh, I will not get that opportunity again. I maybe missed Laylatul Qadr. I was busy, I was doing something, and I just didn't have the opportunity to do as much as I wanted within the month of Ramadan. So then what do you say? You say, okay, I'm going to look for other opportunities that I can serve Allah. I can be good to Allah, because Allah has been so good to me. And then you find yourself in this mindset of going into Dhul Hijjah with these first 10 days, because then you go extra, and you do the extra effort to try and please Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in that day, in these 10 days. أقول قولي هذا وأستغفر الله لي ولكم. Bismillah, alhamdulillah, wassalatu wassalamu ala rasulillah, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Inna Allah wa malaikatahu yusalluna ala nabi. Ya ayyuha alladhina amanu sallu alayhi wa sallimu taslima. So now we know the true importance that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala places within these first 10 days of Dhul Hijjah that are coming up. Now what's so important about these days is that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala swears by them, number one, and then you also have your brothers and sisters performing Hajj in those days. So what are some things that we can do back home that will also push our ranks up? Number one, there's little practical tips, because it's a necessity to give practical tips, otherwise we will not make these efforts and try our best to take the most out of these 10 days that are coming up. First and foremost, fasting is a constant level of worship that you do with Allah. Period. That's it. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that this fasting, all of the other deeds you can do for yourself, but fasting, the reward is with me. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is so kind to us, and He has given us this opportunity, and all you have to do is just stop eating, stop drinking, stop other things from Fajr time to Maghrib. And then you get such a reward that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has set for you in Jannah. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has these rewards for you. So that's number one. Within these next 10 days, within these 10 days of Dhul Hijjah that are showing up, fasting, number one. Number two, constant dhikr. La ilaha illallah, astaghfirullah, astaghfirullah, subhanallah, alhamdulillah. There's so many things. It takes us half a second, 1 second to say a dhikr that is just going to weigh so heavy on your deeds. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given you such good ways and such heavy level deeds that will be so heavy on your scales that you will come on the day of judgment and you'll be like, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, what is this? That's for the one subhanallah that you said. That's for the one time you remembered. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala awaits your dhikr. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does not need it. We need Allah. Allah does not need us. So that's number two. Number one, fasting in these 10 days. Number two, dhikr. Constant dhikr. Very, very quick. Subhanallah, alhamdulillah, Allah Akbar. All of these things, takbirat, beneficial to you, and you could even do it under your breath. Another thing I wanted to very specify, especially since there's a lot of my brothers, like me, very young brothers, serve your parents. Stop talking back to your parents. And especially make an effort in these days of Dhul Hijjah to serve your parents. Because that is another level of worship again. That you often think, oh, it might not be too heavy on my skills. No, I might go and do 100 nawafil in the night. Good for you. But also serve your parents. Serving your parents is a high level. 3 things: fasting, dhikr, serving your parents. This is one that it hits very close to home. The next one. كثرة التكرار والاستغفار والصلوات على النبي المختار. اللهم صل وسلم على محمد. What does this mean? It means constant repetition of what? Of the Quran. The Quran is your guidance. The Quran is for you. Number second, istighfar. Astaghfirullah, astaghfirullah, astaghfirullah. Constant istighfar. And the final one, as-salawat upon the Prophet ﷺ, because that is the higher level of what you can do, because you give one salah upon the Prophet ﷺ. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sends 10. It is a sunnah of Allah, something that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does. So now here we are thinking that we're too good for that. No. Constant repetition of the Quran, constant istighfar, and constant salawat. Another thing is practical, attending Fajr in the Masjid. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has blessed us with a beautiful community. Every single day there is Fajr in the Masjid, if you did not already know. You can come to Fajr, especially in those 10 days. It is so virtuous to start your day with the remembrance of Allah, with the remembrance of the Quran, and then starting your day, whatever you have to do, and constantly throughout your day, remembering Allah. Easy things. Starting your day with Fajr, especially in the masjid, especially in the first 10 days of the Hijjah, it's a high level. And finally, this is something that it's for all of us, and advice for myself first and foremost. Plant the seeds that you want to see grow now. What do I mean by that? You have to hit the ground running. You think, okay, I still have 2 weeks or 3 weeks for Dhul Hijjah to start. No, same thing we advise in Ramadan. Start with the ground running. You have to understand, humans are weak. Every single one of us is weak. And what do? We think that we are so capable of doing something right off the bat. No, you have to start planting those seeds now to see and harvest those within those 10 days. Bi-idhnillahi ta'ala. So if there's a recap, number 1, fasting in those 10 days. Number 2, dhikr. Number 3, constant repetition of the Quran, constant istighfar, and constant salawat upon the Prophet. Number 4, serving your parents. Please, if your parents are here, if your parents are alive, make that extra effort and you will see things that open in your life that you did not know could possibly open. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will open those. And if they are not here, then be that sadaqah jariyah for them. Be that person that on the day of judgment, your parents will grow and they will resurrect and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will put them into Jannah without any hisab. They will say, Ya Allah, I sinned so much in my life, what is this? They will say, because of your son, because of your daughter, that made dua for you, that made that sadaqah jariyah for you. So now you go to Jannah. And finally, making that extra effort to make those salahs in the masjid. It's not that hard. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has blessed us. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has blessed all of you to be here. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless you and continue to bless you. اللهم اهدنا فيمن هديت وعافنا فيمن عافيت وتولنا فيمن توليت وقنا واصرف عنا شر ما قضيت اللهم انك تقضي ولا يقضى عليك اللهم انا نسالك حبك وحب من يحبك وحب كل عمل يقربنا الى حبك وحب نبيك صلى الله عليه وسلم اللهم انا نسالك الهدى والتقى والعفاف والغنى اللهم اغفر لنا ما قدمنا وما اخرنا وما اسررنا وما اعلنا وما انت اعلم به منا يا غفار يا كريم اللهم إنا نسألك الإيمان وزينه في قلوبنا وكره إلينا الكفر والفسوق والعصيان. Ya Rabbil Alameen, we ask that those that are sick in our community, that you give them full shifa. Ya Rabbil Alameen, specifically, the father of Dawood Sheikh has passed away yesterday in India. Ya Rabbil Alameen, we ask that you give him a Jannatul Firdaus without any hisab, that you give him a grave that is light, and truly light that is upon light. Ya Rabbil Alameen, we ask that you make it a garden of paradise. Ya Rabbil Alameen, we ask that you forgive his sins, that you wash him like you wash a white thobe and take dirt off of that. Ya Rabbil Alameen, we ask that you give all of the family members sabr this time. Ya Rabbil Alameen, as well as our beloved Imam Safwan, who is a little ill. Ya Rabbil Alameen, we ask that you give him a full shifa and bring him back to us safe and sound. Ya Rabbil Alameen, all of those hearts that you know and we do not know, that are aching and they want to come back to you, Ya Rabbil Alameen, we ask that you open those hearts right now in this moment. Ya Dhal Jalali wal Ikram, Ya Hayyu Ya Qayyum, bi rahmatika nastaghith. Ya Allah, we ask that you forgive us and enter us into Jannatul Firdaus without any hisab. آمين يا رب العالمين وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين.